I just loved being on the show with Dr. Ellen and talking about dreams. And I love Dr. Ellen's questions were so insightful. It was just like talking to a great friend and diving into a topic we love.
Welcome to the Rock Your Midlife podcast, your transformative sanctuary designed to guide you through self-discovery and provide the tools you need to find your purpose and navigate life authentically. Whether you want to optimize your health, boost your happiness, or deepen your self-love, this podcast is your ultimate toolkit. Welcome to Rock Your Midlife. I am thrilled that you are here today because we're going to be talking all about sleep and dreams, two of my favorite topics. I'm Dr. Ellen Albertson, the Midlife Whisperer, and this is Rock Your Midlife, where we give you the tools, techniques, and inspiration you need to really make your next chapter your best chapter. And if you've been looking for a guru, a teacher, or guide, stop searching, because the wisdom you're searching for is connecting with you, contacting you every single night in your dreams. In today's podcast, you will learn to unlock the meaning of your dreams, and it's easier than you think. You're also going to discover why dreams, even the scary ones, are your allies. So, plus, I'll share the benefits of a great night of sleep and provide tips to help you sleep well. My guest is Tzivia Gover. She is a certified dream work professional and author of books on sleep, dreams, and writing for adults and children. She leads workshops and panels about dreams, and she's going to share the importance of dreams. But before we bring on Tzivia, I want to talk a little bit about sleep, because I know that sleep is one of the biggest issues that I have as a midlife woman. And I know when I talk in my communities and I work with my clients, a lot of us aren't sleeping well. And there's a lot of reasons for that at midlife. I mean, the hormonal changes that take place, the fluctuations in estrogen and progesterone can make it really difficult. We've got a lot on our plates. A lot of us have teens and tweens and aging parents, and maybe you're struggling with your career or your relationship. So there's an awful lot going on, both physiologically. All of these changes that are happening in our bodies really impact our sleep. But I have to say, sleep is so important. And when I'm working with women around things like having more energy, being healthier, working out, and certainly weight loss, which is an issue that a lot of midlife women, if not all, struggle with on some level, sleep is super important. The research is really showing that it affects, your cardiovascular health. It certainly, affects your hormonal balance. Things like your appetite hormones really reset when you are asleep. Certainly affects your mood. And, menopause can really play a role on your mood, your cognition. If you're not sleeping well, that's kind of like throwing gasoline on the fire. So it's super important for your mental, your physiological, your emotional, and I have to say your spiritual health, because I really feel, and we'll get into that in a minute about dreams, that when we're sleeping, it's kind of like when our soul can kind of come alive and have conversations. We can connect with our intuition. It's also when we consolidate our memories. So the kind of the first part of sleep is kind of like you're vacuuming and cleaning your brain. The second part, which is the REM sleep, that deep sleep, is really when we're kind of consolidating those memories and when we're having those vivid dreams. And so it's super important, I think, for intuition, for spiritual development, for connecting with your true self, and kind of figuring out like your passion and your purpose. So I know that our guest is going to talk a lot about that, but I want to give you some quick tips as well on how to sleep right. Again, something I'm working on. I kind of like to say sleep is the new sex, right? At midlife, we just want a good night of rest. The first thing is turn off those screens. You've got to turn your screens off about an hour before you go to bed, because those screens can really impact your rhythms, your circadian rhythm. So you really want to turn off the screens. It also calms you down, particularly if you tend to sort of scroll the news. You can see something that can get that cortisol level, that fight and flight hormone up. We want to be chilling. So also it's a great idea to do something in the evening that relaxes you. Take a hot shower, maybe do some journaling. Mind dumping is great. Just like take all your worries and your cares, the to-do list, throw it on a piece of paper. It will help you sleep. Make sure your room is cool and it is dark. Have sort of the same bedtime if you can. Try to go to bed a little earlier. I think a lot of us are, working and then we get caught up in Netflix and we want to stay up and binge watch TV. So you got to kind of get disciplined around the sleep, but it really pays off. I know for some women, some supplements help. A lot of women take melatonin, which actually your melatonin levels tend to drop as you get older. Melatonin, there's some research that it also helps with bone density. So there's some good reasons to take melatonin. Doesn't work for everybody. I take it once in a while. I find if I take it all the time, it interferes with my total sleep quality. But some nights or when I'm traveling, I really like to take a melatonin about between 1 and 3 milligrams to help me get a good night's sleep. Magnesium is super important to relax your body. Also, herbs, smelling lavender can really help with your sleep, as well as herbs such as chamomile and valerian can help with your sleep. So there's an awful lot you can do, and it's just a matter of prioritizing it, making it a commitment. Exercising during the day can help. And I should mention too, alcohol and caffeine can both interfere with your sleep. You may feel that alcohol is going to kind of chill you out, but it actually interferes with your normal sleep. So you don't get the right kind of rest. And certainly caffeine, you want to make sure not to have much caffeine after noontime because that can interfere with your sleep as well. So just a little tips to help you sleep, but it is so important for your body, your mind, your heart, and your spirit. So let me bring on our guest. Her name is Tzivia Gover. Tzivia, did I pronounce your name right? I should have asked you off the air.
You did indeed.
Okay, great. Tzivia is a certified dream work professional and the author of books on sleep, dreams, and writing for adults and children. She leads workshops and panels about dreams, mindfulness, and writing domestically and abroad, and is a board member of the International Association of the Study of Dreams. And you can check her out at thirdhousemoon.com, which I found out my moon is in the third house too. So we'll have to talk about the significance of that third house moon and what your moon is. And I want to share with you, if you're watching this on YouTube, this beautiful deck. So I got this 2 days ago and I have been playing with it, but it really is amazing. I love the, this is my favorite. Tigers are my power animals. So this one, you had me at hello. This is animals. So each card has a beautiful image, and on the back, it has explanations of what the dream could mean. So if, for example, you're dreaming about animals, what it could mean. But what I love about it is that Tzivia asks questions to help you dig and interpret the dream for yourself, because dreams can mean a whole lot of different things. So let's get into it. So I guess my first question is, excuse me, how did you get into this work?
Well, first of all, I'm so happy to be here, and I love that you love the tiger. I love that card as well. It's so bold and fierce. So, how did I get into this kind of work? Well, I always say that I didn't necessarily choose dreams as my passion. Dreams chose me, because ever since I was a little girl, my some of my earliest memories really are dreams. I've been having very vibrant dreams since the beginning, and I took an interest in them, and I started talking about them when I was about 4, and I literally have not stopped since. But I had several careers before I was able to devote the amount of time and attention that I now give dreams, writing about them, leading workshops, doing one-on-ones with people. And that came about when I was in a life transition and there was a lot of loss. So, sort of a crater opened up in the middle of my life where my relationship had been. My daughter had gone off to college, and then I lost my job.
Oh,
So I
wow.
thought, well, either I am going to fall into that crater, into, a pit of depression, or I'm going to take that empty space and fill it up with something I love. So that's when I stepped forward and I got my certification in dream work and joined the International Association for the Study of Dreams and really leaned into it.
I love that story because it's so true at midlife. Like, you spend your first adulthood sort of climbing up this ladder of success based on other people's expectations and kind of what society says to do, like get the good job, with the health plan. And then something happens. Maybe also you're going through menopause, there's loss, it makes you rethink everything. And then you decide, I'm going to face my fears, instead of, like, you could have been in this place where, oh my God, I lost my job, I'm going to fall into depression and feel stuck. But you were like, no, it's an opportunity. I had another client, she lost her job, she was laid off, and she became a massage therapist. In your 50s, you can do all of those things. So I love that story. And if you're listening, it's not too late to follow your dreams, the dreams that you want in your waking life and also in your sleeping life. So let's talk about First, I want to ask, what if you don't remember your dreams? This is a big issue with me. So after getting your deck, and I've done this off and on, I put the journal next to my bed. I set the intention to remember my dreams. I kind of remembered last night's dream a little bit, but I don't. For a while, I thought, am I not dreaming? Like, am I not getting into the REM sleep, that deep sleep? I think that was part of the issue, particularly when I was in a difficult marriage and was like the bed wasn't big enough to, we just weren't sleeping well at all. Now I have a partner who I adore, and he's an amazing sleeper. He is the fifth of six. So like mom was not doing a lot of coddling. It was like he just goes to sleep and he's super cuddly and fun. But I don't remember my dreams. So what I guess the first thing is, before we can get into analyzing our dreams, we have to remember. Any tips in terms of memory?
Absolutely. And just based on what you just said, is it a question if I'm not having REM sleep or what's going on here? And most likely you are, since, first of all, you have several REM cycles through the night. So you're probably catching at least a couple or a few of those. And what really makes a difference is when you have that REM sleep. So if you're lucky enough to be able to have at least 8 hours of sleep, as the night progresses, those REM cycles, which is where the memorable and vivid dreams take place, the ones you're actually going to stay with in the morning or that are going to stay with you, take place. So as those cycles get longer, the dreams can become more narrative, more fully fledged, so you can remember more. But if you're not getting the full 8 hours, you're missing out on that longest REM cycle. And the REM cycles you have in the middle of the night are harder to remember because you do go back into some level of sleep. So that early morning one is the one you really want to catch if you can, with a full night's sleep. But there's lots you can do to remember dreams. I just want to say quickly what I love about the little deck of dreams, and you just showed that. What I love about it is that this is great for people who don't remember their dreams and people who remember their dreams. So if you don't, you could pick 3 cards at random and call those a dream, or even just one. Um, but you nailed the most important and the foundational dream recall method, which is to set an intention and to put paper and pen by your bed, and then literally write down the intention. That solidifies and firms up the intention. And the piece that most people forget, and you alluded to it, in the morning, you have to write something again. So even if you don't remember a dream or you don't think you do, start writing, I dreamed, or in my dream. Just get it started. Sometimes right there, something will come back. And also, Dr. Allen, you mentioned, oh, I just had a little something, I came back with a little fragment. Write that fragment down, because that's like a little thread that you can pull. Either you'll start remembering more as you write, or just by writing the little fragment, or even just by picking up the pen and starting, I dreamed, or in this dream, you're letting your subconscious mind know that not only did you make a request, but you have faith in it being answered. So complete that cycle by putting pen to paper in the morning and keep trying.
That's a great suggestion, because I am once again revisiting The Artist's Way. And really, which is we're all about doing morning pages where you sit down and you write first thing. And I'm curious, because I know you do mindfulness as well. Do you recommend doing it before you meditate? So I usually get up, try not to look at my phone, because that puts me in my brain in a completely different place. So other than maybe I'll glance at the weather to see how to dress. And then I do something called 5 Tibetans, and then I meditate, and then I write, and I like to do automatic writing. But is it better for me just to get up first thing and do the writing first? Should I switch my routine?
Absolutely. But you don't even have to get up. Just jot down even a few notes. You don't have to interrupt your whole morning routine. But even if you jot down a few notes, like, I think my father was in my dream, or there was something about the color orange. Even if you get that much down before you get out of bed, you're a lot more likely to be able to, again, pull on that thread when you get to your morning pages or whatever it is.
Oh, great. So I will start that, a new a new routine for me, a new habit to get into it, because it's June is such a good time, I think, to start new things with Gemini season and all of the mind energy that's going on. So are dreams really all that important? We're talking about doing this thing. Why bother?
Right. Why bother? Well, we started our conversation talking about life transitions, the transition into middle life, into middle age. the transition of losing a relationship or a job. One of the things that dreams are real lifesavers for is helping us navigate those transitions. Once you start listening to your dreams, they'll help guide you. I remember once when I was deciding whether or not it was time to quit my job, I asked my dreams, and that's another thing you can do. You don't have to just wait for them to guide you. You can ask for guidance before bed, just like you ask to remember dreams. And, I was asking my dreams and writing, and just by holding the thought in my mind as I fell asleep, is it time to leave this job? And literally, I saw a sign in my dream. I dreamt that I was in an airport, and there was a sign near the boarding gate that said weather conditions are clear and favorable for takeoff. So you can get something that obvious, or often you'll get an image that will just provoke an emotion or something else that will tell you, oh, yes, this is what I need to know.
Yeah, so when you say get, I'm just curious, and I know this is very subjective, but where do you think that's coming from? Do you feel like it's coming from your subconscious, your intuition, from God, your spirit guides? I'm always curious where people are feeling like this information is coming from.
I would say all of the above, and I'll tell you why. Let's start with science because we're so lucky that now there's sophisticated brain imaging and techniques so we can get the nitty gritty. Even though I love my favorite place to go with all this is into the metaphysical and spiritual, but just starting with the brain. The brain asleep and in REM is primed for random association, it's primed for making metaphor, it's primed for strong emotion. And all of these things together, and plus several other more subtle things that are going on, prime us for epiphany. That's why we have all these prophets and sages who report on their dreams, guiding them, or a voice. That's all from this part of the dreaming brain. So we're primed for problem solving in REM sleep. So part of it, yes, it just comes from the brain. And that might seem mundane, but to me, it's wondrous that we are hardwired to get these metaphorical, and to me, metaphor is spiritual, right? Metaphor is not, I am like a tiger, but I am the tiger,
Mhm.
right? That's transformative right there. So we're literally hardwired. So for me, that's mystical, even though that's medical. That's the brain. That's science. Also, if you study consciousness through yogic philosophy, you know that there are the five subtle bodies, the koshas, and the two central subtle bodies are the divine intelligence. So that's just from a spiritual level. Right inside of us, we have the divine intelligence, and inside that is the joy or bliss body. But that divine intelligence is where a lot of dreams come from. Freud and Jung, or especially Jung, would have called that intuition. And Jung said intuition is where we should spend most of our time. So dreams are operating from that. So we can say, where are they from? They're from our intuitive body. They're from our intuition. They're from our divine intelligence. And you can feel into it for yourself, right? Some of them you just know that they're coming from some otherworldly plane. Anybody who has, and many of us have, uh, sat down for tea with a deceased relative in a dream, we know there's something going on there, but we might not be able to explain it.
Yeah, it's all this wondrousness of this sort of quantum field where everything is happening all at once. And I love sometimes too when, if you've had a dream and then all of a sudden in reality, you're in this situation, the opposite, right? So you had this dream and then there you are, and you're like, I've been here before. It's really, really fascinating. So how do you interpret dreams? So we've got it, we're sleeping right. So just to reiterate, we do sleep in like 90-minute cycles. In the earlier part of the evening, we're doing this sort of cleansing of the brain, and then we're doing more of the REM sleep. So towards earlier in the morning, you have more of the vivid dreams. But so how do we interpret our dreams? Where do we start?
So I suggest that you start by writing the dream down and then pausing just to appreciate it. There's no need to jump to interpret it. If you think of listening to a beautiful piece of music or even a beautiful poem, you don't jump to tear it apart and interpret it. You start with, oh, it felt like, oh, it made me think about, it made me wonder. That's the best way to enjoy a dream too. So start with that. Do some dream appreciation before you do your interpretation. And just by spending a little time with the dream, some insight might start to open up. It often does. I've had the experience, and my clients report it often, that just as you start to write down a dream that seems so mysterious, I'll give you an example. One morning, I wasn't even going to write down my dreams because I was so busy. I didn't have time, but I was committed to writing them down every morning. And the dream started. I'm in my neighborhood where I actually live. Um, but I can't find the restaurant. And the restaurant I'm looking for in actual waking life and in the dream is called Zen. So as I start writing in my journal, I am lost and looking for Zen. And all of a sudden, the dream had interpreted itself.
Yeah, that sort of slow
Um,
down. It's like when I see, I live on this island in on Lake Champlain and turtles, right? You're just walking along the way, and then there's the turtle, which is like, whoa, slow down. So that's beautiful. And I love that idea of just savoring because I love telling people to savor is such a beautiful way to just have more joy in life, savor past memories, savor present moments, and even savor things in the future. Now we can also savor our dreams. So you have your dream, got your journal, you've set your intentions, you write down just the kernel that comes to you, and just maybe just sit and savor what comes up for you. So
and
I think
Dr. Ellen, you mentioned earlier as well when you were talking about the little deck of dreams, the cards. So each card, as you mentioned, it doesn't offer interpretation, it offers questions. And that's what I would say to people as well. After you've savored your dream, you've written it down, you've savored it a little bit, start asking simple questions, right? So if you dream you were attacked, am I feeling attacked in my life? Where in my life am I feeling attacked? If you dream of a infant, what is new in my life? What is brand new? What is just coming into being? Just start asking some questions, and some ahas, some deep insight will start popping.
yeah, so it sounds like just the first step is if people are listening and haven't really been focusing on their dreams, just start having a relationship with your dreams.
That's the perfect word. It's a relationship, it's a conversation. And the sad thing is that we've been duped into thinking that you need a special degree or training to understand dreams, or you need to pay a lot of money and go on an analyst's couch. Now, I'm not putting any of that down, but dreams come to everyone in every language, in every country, at literally every age and through time. They are so ours. They are so personal and unique to each individual. The memories and associations in your dream came from you. Ask where they come from, right? They're personal to you. So they're not trying to confound us. You don't need a special degree to understand them. There's nothing more natural in the world than having a dream and claiming it as yours and being informed and guided by it. People have been doing it since the beginning of time.
And why do you think it is that we've moved a bit away from it? I mean, I think about sort of before we had all of the media and even, times that people would tell stories and when life was very different and dreams were much more important. You'd have elders or you have a tribe and like, well, the two elders have to have the same dream in order for it to be the right omen. But dreams were held in very high regard. And now, I mean, I think a lot of people have the sense that I don't dream, I don't bother with it. How did we get here?
So if we backtrack a little bit, I'll start with science again. It's an easy place to start. When Sigmund Freud was the first one to scientifically claim and bring into our knowledge base that dreams come from the brain, and then science confirmed it. And when science confirmed it, um, okay, I'm trying to say this simply without getting into too much detail, so I'm oversimplifying. But what happened was we learned that dreams come from random neuronal firings from the brain, And that sort of threw a wet blanket on the whole thing for people. They were like, okay, if they're random neuronal firings, that's where we started getting these things like it's just the pizza I ate. We just really dismissed them. But that came after a long time where our cultures and societies, especially Western cultures, started to prize rationality. We could blame the Enlightenment, perhaps, scientific thinking, rationality, things that can be proven with Newtonian physics. Dreams don't fit into any of those categories. So they really got dismissed. And we can also look to institutionalized religions where there needs to be some kind of social control from the top. And dreams are very destabilizing of that. People's
Mm.
dreams might tell them something different than their priest or their rabbi or their imam is telling them, and that can become threatening to an order, hierarchical order. So there are lots of reasons that we've been separated from our dreams, but more and more people are realizing that answers, happiness, and all the rest of it ultimately come from within.
Yeah, can you share a story or two of a client you've worked with or in your own life where someone, you shared your own story about, should I leave this job? And it's like, yes, everything is clear. Can you share some other stories of how dreams can help us to tap into our intuition, tap into our purpose, feel more fulfilled?
I had a woman in one of my groups in the past few weeks, I can't remember exactly when, who told the story of, in a dream, her sister who had died of breast cancer came back to her in a dream and literally put her hand on the dreamer's breast and said, go to the doctor.
Wow.
And she did. And she caught the breast cancer very early, and she's thriving right now because of it. I mean, that's the most recent story I heard that was very dramatic, but I hear dramatic stories like this all the time. People who find houses, their partners, thanks to listening to the advice of a dream.
And I'm curious, what do you do? I know you're going to a conference for the Association for the Study of Dreams. How do you deepen this knowledge? Because it seems pretty straightforward. I'm kind of excited to just like, okay, start a relationship with my dreams and start to, write them down and set intentions around them, being really intentional and committing to it. But where do we go beyond that? Because it sounds like there is a whole association for the study of dreams. What do you actually do?
Well, when I first started going there, I just soaked everything in like a sponge. I would come home with notebooks full of notes on the science, on the psychology, and all the rest of it. What I really wanted, in addition to connecting with other people who love and honor their dreams as much as I do, is to explain why. Like the kinds of things we're saying. Well, how could it be that a dream could guide you to find the love of your life? How is it? So I didn't want to just tell people how great dreams are. I knew that from my life experience, but I wanted to be able to tell people why. So that's one thing, is to get the scientific explanations and to get the explanations from other cultures and the other perspectives. The other reason to go is to do the dream work. So every morning there are 5 different dream groups to choose from. And during the day, there are workshops where you can do dream theater and you can create songs from your dreams. I have a pillow I made from dreams in one of the workshops I did there. And to get the latest developments in clinical studies and scientific studies, not only to, again, back up and prove the claims that we're making, but to get more subtlety, right? How can we help people better? Not only to work with their dreams, but then there's a whole psychological area of, now I have this information. How do I bring it into my life in a safe and effective way without, you know, the dream is speaking to us from our subconscious. We also have our ego that wants to keep things in a certain kind of balance. So if we move too quickly in the directions of a big dream transition, we can really destabilize ourselves and maybe our relationship. So there's a lot of subtlety to fill in the blanks too.
Yes, fascinating topic. So did you have a dream about creating this deck?
Well, that's a great question. In this particular deck, I had little dreams along the way. Um, And a lot of my dreams influenced the artwork. I don't like to share clients' dreams without their permissions, so I'm very conservative in that realm. But although I did not create the art, they asked me for prompts for the art director. So I drew a lot from my dreams for the
Oh,
artwork
wow.
here.
Yeah,
But
it's a
also,
fact.
you had mentioned the name of my business, which is Third House Moon,
Yes.
and that came directly from a dream. So when I was just getting ready to start my business, I hadn't even asked my dream yet what I should call it. I hadn't even gotten there yet. But I was in a dream and there was a woman and she handed me a flyer. And I said, "What's this?" And she said, "Oh, that's for your business and it's going to be very successful." And I looked down at the flyer and written across it was Third House Moon. So I didn't know much about astrology. So when I woke up, I thought, well, what was that? What's Third House Moon? It sounded like a jumble of grammatically incorrect words to me. So I Googled it and I learned that when you're the first thing I learned was that my moon is not in my third house.
Oh, it's not, because mine is.
No, but
So I
what
was
I
like,
learned is that when the moon is in someone's third house, it means your feeling instinctive nature will find expression through communication, writing, speaking, and social intercourse, which is exactly what I wanted for my business. And then it said others may view you as a bit of a dreamer. You have a knack for putting feelings of a group into words and may serve as a teacher or spokesperson. So I just, I wrote that down and I just said, well, that's got to be the name for my business because that's exactly what I want it to be.
yeah, I love all of this, and it really reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. I think it's Einstein that, there's two ways of looking at the world: is if nothing is a miracle or everything is a miracle. But the signs are everywhere. You can see signs like when I see, I mentioned tigers are my power animal, but when I saw this, is like, oh, the universe is like hell. You can say I've got tigers everywhere. I have hundreds of them, and I always feel when I see a tiger, it's kind of like my spirit waking up. I've been thinking a lot about, connecting with the heart and how our heart is really the brain of our soul. And now we have this, we've got oracle cards, and midlife is a really cool time to reconnect with what spirituality is true for you, whether that is, associated with some religious practices, or you're using oracle cards, or listening to your dreams, or spending time in nature and seeing what shows up for you. So I did pick a card for the podcast today. So I picked hair, which I think is really interesting because one of my favorite communities is the Silver Sisters, so I've naturally curly silver hair, and I think hair is, particularly for women, it's so symbolic. So I'm going to read. Let's see what it says. Hair is said to represent thoughts, wisdom, sensuality, strength, growing or loss. But how we wear our hair and how we relate to it is highly personal. Whether to cut, cover, or contain it, as well as gender and age norms relating to your coiffure, are often rooted in expectations from your religious, ethnic, or cultural group. Your dream about hair likely has something to say about how you are conforming to, rebelling against, questioning, or the conflict with the messages you received about your identity. So bring mindfulness attention to your hair today as you tend to it. You might don a special hair ornament, hat, or headscarf as you invite the dream to reveal its meaning. And I can show the picture. It's a beautiful woman with gorgeous hair. But I love that because it is really true. The meaning of, we think, almost cut my hair, this, how much hair is about rebellion, and whether you're a silver sister or it's the 60s and you're not cutting your hair because, you're showing that, I'm not going to go to war, or I'm not going with that sort of 50s mentality of looking a certain way, of just being able. And I think particularly, as we're aging, this idea of like, I shouldn't wear my hair a certain way. Either I should color it so I conform to some weird social norm that says like gray hair is not okay, or, I can't have like wild, crazy locks when you're in your 50s or 60s, whatever it is. So I absolutely love that. So I'm going to start using them as well. As you said, just to pick as an oracle card. So I think that they're powerful. My only issue with that is I don't want to shuffle them because they're alphabetical. So I can
You
just
know,
like look at my dream.
I feel the same way. I keep two of them handy. I
Oh,
keep
okay.
one alphabetized and one I scramble, but I know that's not practical for everybody.
Yeah, and so are the colors meaningful? Because I can see they're sort of all, if you take a look again this side, they're all these kind of nice pastels. Is there significance to the different colors?
No, the only significance to the colors is in the deck there are, and they're easy to find, there are, because they're black, there are these dream type cards and the
Mhm.
explanatory cards. So there's a card that tells you how to use the deck. Sorry, I'm not holding things up straight. Um, but for those who are watching on YouTube, you can see that there are cards that give you sort of explanations on how to use the deck, what types of dreams you might encounter, and then some of the major dream types that you might have, like extraordinary or big dreams, nightmares, and so on, recurring dreams. So, in that regard, the colors are helpful because you can easily pick these black cards out. And then the rest of them, as you noted, are just multicolored. And that is just for the joy of the colors.
Yeah, and that's the thing I love about it too is it's just fun. And I think if things are fun, whether we're, wanting to connect on a deeper way, connect with our intuition, our spirit, get some, clarity about our lives, if we make it fun and get curious, it's going to really motivate us to do it, whether that's, changing our diet or working out, whatever that is that we're making changes. But this is just such a cool, easy way to rock your midlife. So I really appreciate you sharing all of this.
Absolutely. And just to bring it full circle, you started out talking about sleep issues. And I always say that once you start to embrace your dreams, you have one more really good motivation to get to bed on time. Because for myself, I can't wait to go to sleep because I know that I'm going to have some kind of dream adventure. Sometimes it's scary, usually it's interesting, and a lot of times it's either blissful or fun.
I
So,
love that. And
one more reason to get to sleep.
I should say too, one other thing I've done recently is, up your bedding. I was just tired. I had something my mother had given me, and I had moved in with my partner Kenny like 3, 4 years ago, and hadn't really done much. I just went to Costco. It's like $60 for, it was in a beautiful quilt that went with everything, with a quilt over it and some nice pillows. And I am sleeping a lot better having beautiful bedding. So just,
I love that.
deck yourself out. It doesn't have, you have to spend a lot of money, but I think when we make a beautiful bedroom, when we get rid of the clutter, when we, like you said, just let's elevate our sleep. I think we could solve so many issues. I mean, there's so many diseases, diabetes, heart disease, things, weight issues connected with sleep. And now we have this whole other reason to connect with our intuition, our soul, our spirit. So thank you for sharing all that. You've really motivated me to get in there. I have to say, just a closing too, a couple months ago, I had a lucid dream for the first time, and that was just fascinating. So I'm looking forward. Lucid dreams are just when you're aware that you're dreaming and you can actually like mold what's going on. And sometimes I do that. I don't know if you've done this before of just thinking about what you want to dream about. And so you're like, sort of like entering into the dream through like a back door of saying, okay, I'm gonna dream about this book I want to write or this trip I'm going on or just something to sort of ignite where your dreams are going to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, in fact, I just today sent off the manuscript to my next project with Smith Street Publishing, who did the cards, which is the Dream Journal. And that's going to have
Nice.
instructions for dream incubation, is what you were just describing, programming what you want to dream about, information on lucid dreams. There's a little information on lucid dreams in the deck too. So we got more coming.
All right. Well, I will have you back for that one. And I want to say that the name of the deck is I don't have it,
A
the,
little deck of
the Little Deck of
dreams.
Dreams. Little Deck of Dreams. Fantastic gift too. If you get that thing for that girlfriend, birthdays, no one is going to say everyone on your list will be totally, totally delighted to get it. And if you want to check out Tzivia Gover,
Gover.
sorry, Gover. And her work, she's got great workshops. I might show up for the writing workshop. I have a book in mind, and I'm thinking, yeah, this might be a really good way to kind of jumpstart that. It's thirdhousemoon.com. That's written out third, THIRD, housemoon.com. Do visit her website. Get the Little Deck of Dreams. It is so fun. It's available on Amazon and in your favorite bookseller. Yeah, get a deck for yourself and then get a deck for someone you love. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Sweet dreams to you and to all your listeners and viewers.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here. We'll catch you on the next episode of Rock Your Midlife. Welcome to the Rock Your Midlife podcast, your transformative sanctuary designed to guide you through self-discovery and provide the tools you need to find your purpose and navigate life authentically. Whether you want to optimize your health, boost your happiness, or deepen your self-love, this podcast is your ultimate toolkit.